Assembly language. What is an assembly language? Assembly language is a type of low-level programming language designed to communicate directly with the computer hardware. Unlike the machine language, which consists of binary and hexadecimal characters, assembly language are designed to be human readable. Low-level programming language is like assembly language are necessary to bridge between the underlying computer hardware and higher level programming language like Python or Java, in which modern programs are written. How it works. The code translates directly to an on and off state of the electricity flowing through the computer's physical circuits. In essence, these simple codes form the basis of machine language, the most basic form of programming language. Of course, no human could read modern software by explicitly programming ones and zeros. Instead, human programmers must rely on the various levels of the abstraction that follow them to articulate their commands in a format more intuitive to humans. In early years of computer science, the system and application programming was done entirely in assembly language. Many modern computers and high-level language we use today would not be possible without assembler. Component of assembly language: label, operator, macro, syntax, directive, mnemonic. Label. A label is a symbol that represents an address where instruction or data is stored. Its purpose is to act as a target when referenced by instruction. Label can be used anywhere. An address can be used in assembly language. Symbolic tags consist an identifier followed by colon, while numeric tags consist at a single digit followed by a colon. Operator. Operator, also known as commands, are logical expression that follows the label field. They must also proceed by the least one space. Operator can be opcode or directive. An opcode corresponds directly to machine instructions, and the opcode contains all the register's name associated and the instructions. Alternatively, directive opcodes are statements known to the assembler. Macro. The assembly language macro is a show model that represents a set or patterns of instructions. The sequence of assembly language instruction may be common to many different programs. The macro function is used to interpret macro definitions when it includes a macro call in source code that would contain normal assembly codes instead of a set of macro instructions. Syntax. When writing code in a programming language, there are specific observed that set the rules that must be followed for compiler to run the code correctly. These rules are defined as a syntax and includes the criteria such as maximum numbers of characters allowed, the characters with which lines of code must begin, or the meaning of some silicon symbols. Directive. Directive are the instruction to assembler that specify what action to take during the assembler process. Directives are the important for declaring or allocating memory to variables. These variables can be referenced in process to perform more dynamic functions. Directives are also used to define programs into different sections. Mnemonic. The mnemonic is the abbreviation for operation. A mnemonic is inserted into opcode for each assembly language program instruction to indicate an abbreviated opcode that represents a larger and more complete set of codes. For example, the mnemonic multiplied the mnemonic by 2 was full set of code that performs the mnemonic. Advantage and disadvantage of assembly language. Assembly language are generally runs faster than high-level language. It is relatively easy to insert and remove components from assembly code, and The assembly generally requires fewer instructions to perform tasks than faster than types of languages. Assembly language are also often used by programmers who want more control over their computers since assembly language allow you to manipulate hardware directly. The code can be generally be kept smaller. Assembly language has four types: reduced instruction set computer, digital signal processor, complex instruction set computer, and very long instruction word. History. The history of assembly languages is closely linked to the history of stored program computers. When EDSAC, or Electronic Automatic Delay Storage Calculator, was incorporated into assembler in 1949. Initial statements were used with a single letter mnemonics. Stan Poley wrote the Symbolic Optimal Assembly Program, or SOAP, assembler for the IBM 650 computer in 1955. Assembly languages become popular because of they freed programmers from tedious tasks like memorizing number codes. However, their use to be drastically reduced in 1980s due to the introduction of high-level languages. Through the history of many programs have been written entirely to assembler, this trend changed with introduction of the Borrow MCP in 1961, written to the ESPO or ESPOL, a dialect of Algola. In addition, many commercial applications have also been written using assembly languages, such as B, large amount of IBM mainframe software. Early microcomputers relied heavily on assembly languages. This was due to the lack of high-level compilers from languages intended for use on microcomputers. Another reason of assembly language that time was that they had many advantages, such as this includes small size with high speed, less overhead, and high reliability. Many major assembly language programs were written during this period, include the Lotus 123 and IBM PC-DOS operating systems. Many video games are also written in the assembly languages in 90s. NBA Jam is the one such game from the 1983 era. Most computers from 1980 to 1990 were mainly developed using assembly languages. Examples are the Atari, ST, and MSX system of the time. The VIC-20 system had assembler written by Don French and published by French Soup. Don claimed he was the sharpest mechanic ever. The difference among other programming languages and assembly languages. Assembly language is the type of low-level programming language designed to communicate directly with computer hardware. Unlike the other machine language, which consists of binary and hexadecimal characters, assembly languages are designed to be human-readable. Assembly language is the type of mechanic-dependent language. A high-level language is a machine-independent type of language, used the mnemonic codes to operate and use the English manual to operate. And that's all. Thank you for listening.